Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego, review those amazing bricks of plastic, and discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everybody. How are we doing today? Man, you're going to love this episode because it is filled with all of the new things, inside depth look at the new Lego Super Mario stuff that is going to be coming very, very soon. When I say very soon, you've got some time, but it's coming. And joining me today, I was fortunate enough to bring in the wonderful, the fabulous. Well, you'll just have to wait. So let's jump into it. Well, everybody, today, I finally got him. I finally got the guy, the Mario guy. Everybody keeps talking about the Mario guy. And today I'm joined by Brian, Mr. Bricks O'Brien, the official Bricks O'Brien, to talk about all the Super Mario nerdiness, awesomeness. Brian, finally, welcome to the show, sir.
It has been a long time coming. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to be here and discuss a theme I am incredibly familiar with, both from a fan perspective of Nintendo, but a fan perspective of Lego as well. Thank you for having me.
The people have demanded it. I think some of your audience is even like, hey, I need to hear him. I need all the Mario nerdiness on the Lego side of things. So,
well, you got it. Yeah.
You've brought a lot of talking material today, so I'll let you lead off. We've got the new things coming out as you're hearing this. All the new stuff will be coming out very shortly, and we'll have all that information. So go ahead and take it away, Brian.
Yeah, so for those who may not know who I am in general, I'm Brian Saviano, Bricks O'Brien on the internet, known in the Lego realm, the video game realm. I normally do gaming sort of content on videos, playthrough videos, live streaming, podcast hosting, etc. And my specialty in the Lego realm, now that Lego Super Mario has been a thing, is getting to know what that line is all about, both from a fan perspective, a play perspective, and just the products in general. And obviously, when this was first announced and detailed, Lego fans were a little bit divisive on what the approach was and why it was this specific way, rather than it being a traditional sort of Lego set with minifigures and everything else. And, you know, I've been a fan of what they've been doing since day one, and I understand that difference in approach. And now that we have this newest wave of sets, it's really reinforcing a lot of what we've gotten to know over the course of Lego Super Mario being a thing, and now with Luigi now being a thing. They are, in a way, doubling down on that play system for kids, but now we're seeing inklings of displayability type sets with Bowser's Airship, and all of that is very exciting. So as a part of this launch of sets, I was a part of a Lego Super Mario or Super Luigi Championship, just like I was last year. And that is actually something I literally just got done with today. So I have a lot of things to go over. I don't know where you want to dive in first. You're the grandmaster of Lego podcasting here, so you can.
I was going to say, why don't we kick in and talk about the new line that's coming out? It's only a few sets,
yes,
like you and I have already discussed, but you talked about the airship, which looks absolutely wicked, to say the least. Something I'm sure the Mario community has been waiting for, something to that degree. I mean, with Bowser's Castle, you have another piece that can really go along and do some really cool stuff. So why don't we start with that?
Yeah, so I had seen Bowser's Airship once it appeared in a box. I saw it for the first time, and my initial reaction was like, bleep, yes, with how incredible it looks. It's been a talking point with the Mario sets that they've been very interactive with play, but not for display. And as much as you can have a play system with most Lego sets that are out there, there's definitely a lot of value in having a display set. And you have previously Bowser's Castle, which is a $100 set. You got Bowser, but it doesn't necessarily exemplify an iconic moment from a game or an iconic setting necessarily, like specifically, not really in that way. And that goes for most of the other sets as well, where now you have Bowser's Airship, and all of these sets that have come out thus far, except for kind of one in this wave here, have been from the 2D Mario games, which is separate from, in kind of relation to Mario 64, Mario Odyssey, Mario Sunshine, more of the popular games from that. So Bowser's Airship originated, I believe, in Super Mario Bros. 3, and has been a thing all throughout the franchise since then, in the 2D games especially. And with this, what makes it incredibly special is not that it's just a playset, but it also looks great on display. When you see it in the box, it looks like a complete Lego set. And in contrast to the rest of the line, this set here, it has interactive play tiles, but not an obnoxious amount that takes away from what the build is. It doesn't compromise from what the structure of the ship is, and it doesn't feel like it's compromising. It feels like a good marriage between the two, and I have some issues with it myself that I can get into in a little bit, but part of the genius of this is not only that there's the airship, but then it folds out into being a longer ship. And if you're familiar with Super Mario Bros. 3, you'll remember that there's a very jagged look to the ships when you're jumping across them, and that's the exact look you get when you have the ship extended out fully, which, intentional or not, probably is, I think is genius. And that's when I was incredibly sold on this set specifically, and to me, as a complete set that is accurate, good on display, and has good playability, this takes the cake as the best non-starter course Lego Super Mario set so far.
That's awesome. It was something that I thought right out of the gate here, like, I've got to have this. Yeah. Like, playing the original Mario games, like you said, Super Mario 3, where you have this ship and the jaggedness, it looks awesome. And then you guys showed me, oh, this thing folds open. It makes it even that much better, because then you can play that way, but at the same time, you put it back together, you have your display piece, or however you want to do it. Just looks really, really, really nice. And I love the big hand that is on there.
Yep.
That is really cool.
And that's from a game as well. So there are some compromises with the ship that I've noticed from the games and into other toys, because I wanted to look at that before I made any critiques on it. This is a $100 set, for those who may not know. It's got 1,000-something pieces. I have the European box, and we don't have the part number as of right this second. So it's comparable in value to the Bowser Castle that came out last year. But on Bowser's Airship, there's normally 3 propellers that are on there, and there's only 2 on here, which is fine. But I think for me, as a Mario fan and as wanting a little bit more out of the build, if I can ask for more, the bottom portion is made out of the ship hull pieces that you're familiar with from Pirates and everything else. So I know that there is a section of those type of parts that is just a small middle section that you could put in there to extend the ship out a little bit more. I would have loved to have seen 1 or 2 of those sections in the middle of the airship. That way you can fit that third propeller, have a bit more for play opportunities, and make it that much more accurate. It's not something that it would be difficult to customize yourself, but obviously having it as an all-in-one package would have been that much better. Some people might complain that there's not Bowser on his airship, which he is actually rarely on his airship when it comes to the games. You're defeating Boom Boom or otherwise, so I think that's totally fine from a fan perspective. But overall, the build is solid. It looks great, and I think is a great value for what you're getting for Lego Super Mario.
You couldn't have sold it any better than that. Not at all.
I put a decent amount of thought into this stuff. I mean, if there's entire YouTube channels based around Lego Star Wars, I mean, I can go a little bit more into detail and depth and nerdiness with Mario. You know what I mean?
Well, the fan community is out there for the Super Mario in general, but now you have a whole nother genre in the Lego realm that is sucking people in from that side. Somebody like yourself who's just a giant Super Mario fan, and then, you trickle into this and you have this back history, the backstory, the understanding of all the Super Mario stuff. Because for me, as some of these others that we're going to talk about, some of those things are from different games that I may not have played. I haven't played a Mario game since Super Mario 3. I'm pretty sure, or Mario Kart, which was on the original Wii, which is many, many years ago. So it's nice that you have that the backstory, the understanding of the backstory of all the history of Mario, because like you said, there's plenty of YouTube channels and stuff out there for Star Wars. Well, there needs to be something for Mario as well. So the next one is the next smallest in line. Tell us about this thing, because it looks really wicked from the box art on how it can spin. It looks like it's supposed to spin around on this windmill type deal. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I am not as big into the 2D Mario games myself, but I know that this is from Mario World. This is based off the enemy Reznor, where these are these rhinos that kind of rotate around on these platforms. And this set, and a lot of the other sets in this wave specifically, really focus on two-player action. Although you can do it single-player, this is definitely a two-player-based set. So what you do is on the teeter-totter that's over on the side there, you rotate between Mario and Luigi, avoiding that spike ball, getting coins along the way. And the way that it was talked about in the presentation that I was a part of, they really focus on being in sync with your partner, or, Mario and Luigi in general. So the more actions that you do together at the same time, the better score you're going to get, the more of an experience you're going to have. So with this, there's a lot of opportunities to stay in sync and to just have a lot going on. So with the Reznor section, one person is rotating the thing around, and then there's a spike that kind of bonks the rhinos off of their platform to save the Toad. So that's really a two-player operation there that, as somebody who plays normally single-player, I don't necessarily plan on playing the Mario play system for too long as a 25-year-old man without any children yet. But I like it, and I like that it's based off of different games, so that way you have a lot of variety. But there still is a stark contrast between what we're familiar with in the 3D Mario games and the spin-offs compared to the 2D games, where most of everything is 2D, and that kind of leaves a lot of room for speculation, I think more so than other LEGO themes in general. When a Star Wars movie comes out, they're going to base a ship off of the AT-AT, the Jedi Starfighter, the final battle, the whatever. But with LEGO Super Mario, they have, 35 years of history to pull from, and so many iconic scenes that they're not even like 10% of the way through the possibilities that they could do with just Mario alone, let alone other Nintendo franchises, which I certainly hope appears in the future. But this is from Mario 3, whereas most of the other ones are more across the board or not even referencing a specific game. So that's the gist with the Reznor-based one there.
It's really neat. I like the rhinoceros build there, the few of them that are on here. It's a neat idea, and you mentioned that a two-player idea here. I'll be curious to see if there's more two-player idea stuff going on here in the future with sets like this, because if one has Mario, one has Luigi, you can really roll through and play your own little scene, little setup and stuff. But at the end of the day, that's what kids want to do when they get together. Adults, you guys just had a Lego competition, and obviously you're by yourself, but the idea that it requires or can require two people to play at the same time, I think is a bigger step forward than what the original Wave 1 release last summer, because it felt like there wasn't, even though you could go and you could keep a score or whatever, you go, the next person goes, there wasn't that tandem play at the same time.
Right.
So I like the idea that is something that moving forward, it seems like they're really starting to address and starting to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, every time I've heard a designer talk about this, they are talking specifically about play play function, play opportunity, and, you know, you're used to the stud shooters in a Star Wars set or moving legs in a Spider Walker or something. But with this, that is really the main driving focus. And as they dive more into two-player, they can really expand the opportunity there. Two things with it, though. One, if you want to have a two-player experience, you're talking $120 to get a Mario and a Luigi, and you can also do two Luigis or two Mario if you want to. So that is a possibility. If you have two friends together that have Mario each, they can play together. It's not just Mario and Luigi that have to be compatible, and they connect really easily as well. But that's a $120 investment out the gate, and from what I had heard from the vast majority of consumers is that although they really appreciate what the sets are trying to do and how interactive they are, how much of the sales driven is because it's just Mario and it has that brand power behind it, or are people really that invested in the play system and the style? And the overall feeling that I've kind of picked up on is that people really love the Mario. They love the technology, how interactive and fun that Mario is, and Luigi will be the exact same way. The fact that they work together is fantastic, but the play system itself, kids only do for a little while, and then they might get bored of that, but they still play with Mario, or they still play with Luigi, because that piece of technology is something so refined and just generally fun that I think it's just a fun toy to have. I keep Mario and now Luigi on my desk just because they're fun to look at, and I can't believe they exist because I've been waiting for it for so long. But I don't play with them. I mean, I'm a 25-year-old guy, so I'm not going to play with them like a child would. But that's the feeling I've gotten. And the other aspect to that, as much as they're going to go into two-player with Luigi and whatever else they might do in the future, it's still important to note that there are seasoned Nintendo fans that are older that want a displayable set, and I think the NES is perfect, a perfect marriage of the two, where you have some of that with the Mario being able to be put on top. You can do the crank and go through the level and whatnot, but it doesn't compromise on the build to accommodate for that system. And I think Bowser's Airship is another indication of, hey, you know, we can do a big set without needing to compromise on the looks, which a lot of these other sets do, in my opinion. As cool as the Reznor set is, the Lakitu set that's here, a lot of it isn't from a game. It doesn't drive that emotion as much as the NES would or Bowser's Airship. So as long as there's that equal footing to it and keeping that fan base satisfied in that way, I'm okay with it, but it needs to be a game on both sides. Like, I want an NES level type thing as the UCS set. I don't want a Peach's Castle that is $100 that is subpar. I want something nice.
You want something in the Nintendo NES style. Something 18 plus, not 8 plus.
Right. And so if you're familiar with me being on Beyond the Brick at all and just my spouting in general, I've vocalized that I've wanted a Peach's Castle Lego set for a very long time, and I think it's totally justified in it existing. And I would love to see that replace Cinderella's Castle for it being on shelves for so long, have a $350 Peach's Castle. And you might say, Brian, there's no way Peach's Castle is way more iconic and justified than Cinderella's Castle. Come on, what are you talking about? And for those that aren't like familiar with the space, Nintendo and gaming in general it eclipses Disney tenfold. It's so much more popular than you might think. They just opened Nintendo World in Japan. That'll be launching in the States in the coming years. Gaming has its own dedicated fan base that is even more willing to indulge and be as engaged as a lot of Disney people. And I could totally see that being a thing. And with Bowser's Airship is an indication, like if you give me a $200 Peach's Castle that looks good and has that same functionality, I'm fine with that, but it needs to be something nice. And I don't know what that next thing would be. I would certainly hope, as of right this second, we don't know, but I would love for there to be some sort of larger Nintendo set of this line that could really up the ante and be that thing for this wave, you know?
Well, and that's most definitely the idea behind, what they did with the Nintendo NES. I was curious to know when you've talked about Peach's Castle, like you said, till you're blue in the face. I was curious to see what scale size you were looking at for that. Obviously, you wanted something larger. I was thinking like more of the modular style, like, larger details. And I was curious to know if you were going to go and make that assimilation there with Cinderella's Castle, because like you said, Cinderella's Castle, it's been around, it's on shelves. I definitely don't think Cinderella is anywhere near what Peach's Castle would be to the Nintendo fan in general, Mario or not, in general to Nintendo, just due to the sheer fact of it is Nintendo, it is iconic, and Cinderella is as well. But are you really going to capture that adult, let's say my age, 37, that really, has a nostalgia factor for, those kind of things like Peach's Castle, like, the NES? Are you really going to capture that with Cinderella? No, it's not going to be the same. You're talking about two different ideas. Yes. But simply put, at the end of the day, it comes down to there's such a giant community. I would take a gander and say that the Mario community in general, the Nintendo community in general, rivals that of Star Wars easily. And with that in mind, you've got to be able to make the fans happy. And I love the idea of the play sets. But a lot of the adult fans, like you said, you have Bowser's Airship that can be displayable and stuff. But you also, I think, really have to walk down that road of what else can we do for the adult fan? The NES sold out and stayed, out of stock or on back order for a long time last year.
A lot of people say that the NES is one of the best and favorite sets of all time because of how unique the build is and that nostalgia factor. It's to me one of the most perfect Lego sets, even putting my Nintendo bias aside. It has building traditional bricks, it has Technic, and the functionality, the integration, everything about it is so succinct and, to me, perfect.
It is. And that's kind of where it needs to be for something like a Peach's Castle, or I don't know what else they would pull from. They've got plenty of material. I mean, we're dating back, 30 years. So there's plenty of material there for them to pull from. So yeah, I'm in agreement there. Let's talk about these other few smaller sets here. The one with, how do you say it? Lakitu?
Yep, Lakitu. Okay, so tell us about the Lakitu Skyworld set. So this kind of falls in trend with a lot of the other... I mean, we don't know the prices on this one. I believe it's going to go for $40 US. It looks about that same box size, but it goes with the trend of that being you get the character in the box, you get the play functionality, but overall for what you get, it's a little pricey, and I don't know how well it's going to sell once it hits on store shelves, but you're using Mario and Luigi to spin the middle section where Lakitu is, which you'll be familiar with if you've ever played Mario Kart. He's the one that starts off every course with the fishing pole and whatnot. But in this sense here, he's just, spinning around on the cloud, and you're pulling each of the characters to kind of spin him off of where he is, knock him down, and there you go. You can get a decent amount of coins this way. You get a bullet bill. You get a time block. So in terms of the play functionality for the set, you're getting a lot that goes with it. And in that same breath, you also aren't, because it's one play system where a lot of Super Mario is based around lots of little things culminating into a larger score if you're factoring in the play system itself. So for this, you're getting just one module to add on, which does enhance the gameplay from that perspective, but it doesn't necessarily, to me, it doesn't drive it as much as it should. And like I said, when I think Lakitu, I think Mario Kart. So to see him be in this set instead of in a Mario Kart set, I'm like, oh, we're so close. We're so close. He's almost there. But for this set, it's nice, but just like with the other $40 sets that have come previously, like the Wiggler's Poisonous Swamp and whatever else, it's just expensive for what you're getting, and what's driving these sets is also the characters. A lot of the settings don't necessarily matter, where in this set you're getting Lakitu, Bullet Bill, and a Fuzzy, which I would always love to have one more enemy, even if it is another fuzzy or another very small enemy, because otherwise they go for $5 each in the character packs, which we'll touch on in a little while. Why not add another one in there just to spice it up, sweeten the pot a little bit, you know? So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But I mean, Lakitu might be enough of a driver for some people to pick it up, but if you're looking for just that as a unique character, I don't think that's going to be enough for a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that's going to be enough of a sell, a hard sell. That's going to be a hard sell. It's not going to be an easy sell to somebody because, like you said, you have that one character. Yes, the idea behind it, that you want it, but $40, you know, for what you're getting, in my opinion, when you get to this range of the Mario lines over the last few waves and including this one, that is a hard price point because there doesn't appear to be as much here with that compared to, you know, your 70 or your 80 or your $100, your price points up there. So that makes it a little bit more difficult, but it looks interesting. Just a little tiny, obviously you're going to connect it and make your own course or connect it to a main course, another section of something and just go through it. But
yeah, definitely. And what I noticed about this line in general, the $40 and $30 sets are in a very awkward spot. And I noticed with the Piranha Plant Power Slide and the Bullet Bill set that came out in the first wave, those sets were relatively quickly discounted to $24.99 instead of $29.99. And I think that's a more appropriate price point. And a lot of those $20 sets stand fairly well as a $20 set. But that 30 and 40, there's just something about what's included in there and just the volume of what you're getting that it just isn't hitting. And it's remarkable that it is consistent between all three drops of Lego Super Mario. It's really weird to me in that sense because the higher price point stuff is awesome. The lower price point is also awesome, but just I don't know what it is about it. They just can't get in another character or just something about it.
Yeah, I would agree. It is a very tough price area for Lego. I know you had touched on something about it being discounted and stuff like that. Like big box stores, it's almost an automatic go when it gets discounted at that, 20%, even 10%, it seems to push a lot easier off the shelf, obviously because it's cheaper, but it seems like the other retail stores have an idea of where this thing is really going to sell. Whereas Lego, things rarely go on discount unless, you know, it's about to be pushed out off of their inventory for good. So it makes it more difficult to sell, you know, that kind of stuff, whether it be online or in a Lego store. But at the end of the day, I mean, a kid's going to go in there and I want this. Okay, let's do this. Now, obviously it's up to the parent, or if you've got your own money as a child, you know, walking in there, you're like, oh, do I really want to spend it on this? Anyway, so the last one here, before we touch on some of the smaller things, this is an expansion pack. It's Boss Sumo's Bro Topple Tower. There we go. Tell me about this one.
So this one, the play functionality. Now this one I don't have. The three that I don't have of this line, the Reznor one, the one we're talking about now in the frog suit. All the other ones I have at least a little bit of a taste of. So this one, you are using Mario and Luigi to topple over the sumo on the top of the tower, and you defeat him that way. And what's really fun about him is as you're rocking him back and forth, his arms are on hinges, so he'll kind of beat his chest as he goes left to right, and then he falls right over. So that's really awesome. There's a crow character in there as well that I am drawing a blank on the name of, but I believe this one to be a $30 set. So this one, again, could probably use another character. Like, the play functionality it's a lot more fun than what I think a lot of the other ones at this price point have been. The fact that we're getting 2 new characters is great, but again, it's that middle of the road spot, and it relies a lot on the Mario and Luigi compatibility. Again, you only need one of them, but if you have 2 of them, it's going to be a lot more fun. So I'll be curious about this one as well.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see personally how it sells. but I'm really curious to see the play functionality with this. Like you said, with him kind of beating his chest, I can see the functionality there. I'll be curious to see how it plays, how it works. It'll be interesting to see. It looks like it's something a lot of fun can be had with a tandem, another player, whether it be, like you said, 2 Marios or 2 Luigis or a mix of Mario and Luigi. Just looks like a lot of fun, and I like that idea behind the wave. It seems like I said it's going that way. So you had mentioned there's a few other things here. We've got 2 little suit packs here. Tell me about the suit packs. We've got one, I think it's the frog suit, right?
Correct. No, I was going to let you do the thing. Yes. Yeah.
Well, the frog suit and then the bee suit. I don't know anything about the bee suit, but let's start with the frog suit, I guess.
Okay. So the frog suit, this is one I do not have. On the call I was just a part of, they detailed that you have the frog that can go into water and then hop right out and stomp on an enemy with a bit more force behind him. This is from Super Mario Brothers 3, so any retro fans will be very familiar with the suit. The bee suit is more so from Mario Galaxy, a 3D game, where this is the first suit that is solely from a 3D game that is like that. And the functionality is you pick up the bee, Mario or Luigi, you fly around with him a little bit, and then you get more coins that way. However, if you land on an enemy before landing back on the ground, it can maintain your momentum as the bee suit.
Okay. I don't. Where did the bee suit come about?
So it was a power-up in Super Mario Galaxy, a game that came out in 2007, I think. And like I said, it's from a 3D game, which every other suit before this has been from, Mario 3, New Super Mario Brothers, or whatever. And this suit, being from a 3D game, it kind of threw me off in the beginning because I'm like, okay, there's been no indication of the games that I love and can appreciate. And I was hoping that they would base more minifigure-based sets on the 3D games if minifigures for this line do exist. And there's a small inclination that they could release more suits based on not just a 2D game, but it's still, nothing about this is specific to Super Mario Galaxy, the game. So it's just encompassing Super Mario in general. I'm kind of doing a little bit of mental gymnastics in my head on trying to still believe that Mario minifigures exist and they could happen. But it's a fun suit. It's very adorable, and April absolutely loves it. Yes,
April is a giant fan of this suit. Obviously, yeah. April B. So I like the character suits. I mean, they add a little bit different play stuff. I can't remember what the one was from Wave 1, but you could walk Mario on the side of, a cabinet or, the wall. The cat suit, yeah. And you could hear the noise there. I like that. So you talked about character packs a little bit with some of the bad dudes and stuff like that. The new character packs that are coming out, anything there that kind of tickles your fancy, or you kind of are like, why didn't we get this, or why does this look like this? Anything in those?
I think all of these choices here just add more to the cast of enemies and power-ups and whatnot. The one-up mushroom, it's the first time we're seeing that. Obviously, the mold is the same as the mushrooms that have come before it, but in green. And in terms of the play functionality, you get the ability to have 2 power-up mushrooms combined. So it's not necessarily a life if you die, because you can't die in the Mario Lego game. Mm-hmm. But it acts as basically a super power-up more so than the mushroom. And all of these characters, they just add to the pot. We've gotten a Bomb before. This is a para Bomb, so it's a little bit lazy in the sense that it's just swapping out a couple parts. It's not something necessarily unique. Torpedo Ted is a little bit of a reskin of a Bullet Bill. My favorite is the one I actually was very lucky to get from my assortment of sets, because they only gave me 1 character pack. But I got the Shy Boo, which has a custom printing. So if you're not familiar, if you look at a Boo in the video games, the Boo will kind of get shy and not look at you. And as you look away, it'll come back to try and get you. So that expression, I think, is really, really awesome. But overall, none of these are really rocking the boat of like, aha, whoa, that's crazy. You know, it's just adding more to the lineup.
Yeah, I like what I see. Like you said, some of them are kind of, just kind of lazy or kind of like a rehash to a certain degree. But some of these look really nice. I really like to get the one-up mushroom just for the sake of nostalgia. And like you said, whether or not you use it in your game, obviously it's going to be different. But I really like what these turned out to be. Now let's just hope that they are stocked.
Yes.
Because they went pretty quick last time.
Right. I was surprised. So I actually never got a full. So I'm collecting obviously this stuff because I have a problem, and I'm a collector, choosy collector.
This is a safe space, though. It's okay.
So I never got a full sealed set of Series 1, and I'm like, okay, they should be relatively easy to get on eBay or Bricklink or whatever. And nobody wants to feel out the bags because they're all parts, and they're just like, we're gonna slice it open a little bit. All right, this is what you got. I want it sealed. So looking for a sealed copy of Series 1, any of the figures, goes for like triple the price already. And they have just retired relatively recently. So already the collectability of these figures, I think just from a Nintendo Mario brand power standpoint, these are going to be collectible. And some of these characters you may never see in a Mario course ever again. So they're definitely worth getting. I think the $5 price point is appropriate for these. You get a little bit of interactivity with the tile, and most of them, if not all of them, are incredibly easy to swap out, which is awesome. None of these plates are integral to the design. Actually, none of them across the entire Lego Super Mario line. So if you want to swap them out, you totally can. And otherwise, I think they're really adorable Lego renditions of these characters. The Boo especially, because Abu in Mario is round, and Lego is obviously very blocky. So as a design choice, instead of trying to do a custom thing, you're like, let's just make it round. Let's just roll with, or make it square. Let's just roll with it. And I really appreciate that, and I love that one, especially the one-up mushroom is another one of my favorites. I agree with you on that.
Very nice. I'll be curious to see when these are available, how quickly or more appropriately, how difficult they are to get a complete set. Because like you said, it's super, super difficult to get a sealed set, because like you said, nobody wants to go through and feel the bags unless you're trying to find something like the one-up mushroom or something that has a very unique part. It becomes very difficult, especially because there's usually a bag inside of a bag. So yeah, it's going to make it interesting collecting moving forward.
Luckily for these, though, there is a unique part within the vast majority of them that if you want to spend the time to do it, you certainly can. I have had no trouble in the past, but I've also worked at a Lego store where I felt out minifigures for hours on end for customers that were too lazy to do it. So I'm used to feeling out specific parts and kind of getting a gist for what's in the bag. So with a little determination, you can do it too.
So you talked about minifigures, and it's something that I wanted to talk about today. The whole idea that there are no minifigs in this Super Mario stuff since it has come out. You know, we're on now wave 3. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think we're going to see more minifig type stuff in the future potentially?
So I think this whole system it all depends on how much they're rolling with it. And obviously to develop Mario and Luigi, that technology takes a lot of time, a lot of development for the application itself, the brick, but a lot of what goes into Mario and Luigi has been previously seen in terms of the brick itself, the character in Mindstorms and all that. So it's a lot of these different technologies culminating into one figure. So it's not foreign, it's just the presentation of it. With the application, we've seen plenty of things have a Lego application and then, you know, they're gone. Rest in peace Hidden Side. Rest in peace Nexonites. Like, you know, they're not afraid to move on from something if it's not working. The benefit of having at least these sets here, is that you can have the application be able to have the instructions, but you can also have a PDF. They do have these available, so they will stand the test of time. I actually built my sets using a PDF. They are available, so that's good. In terms of minifigures, I really want them, and I want them because I'm a minifigure fan in general, and I think the minifigure look for Lego, they know, is very, very iconic. And we're seeing that with the giant buildable Harry Potter figures, where instead of doing this awkward custom build of a giant figure that isn't quite a minifigure, they're like, nah, we're just going to take this little character, we're going to scale it up because that's what Lego fans know. It makes sense, it fits with the system, and it looks good. So clearly there is investment in the minifigure itself, and I think Lego knows that, especially for Super Mario. Now, the thing where it also gets hairy is with the characters, right? I had a theory for a long time that they were not going to do Luigi only based off of them not wanting to make different suits for Luigi, and I thought Nintendo would not want to have the Mario suits that are branded specifically for him, the red M on the hats, be able to go into Luigi, right? Side tangent, there is a bird that is trying to like get its way into my office. It's like going into the window. I can't not look at it. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me shut the curtain. It's distracting the hell out of me. So I think for Mario and Luigi, there's so many outfits and suits that they could go with that I wouldn't like to think they would do a custom mold for all of it. You know, you have things like the invincibility star, and that can make the characters look all rainbow colors. And I think that there's room for that to happen, and it just makes it more difficult when you have this play system. And apart from the variety of suits, you're also talking the characters, where you have Donkey Kong, Peach, Wario, a proper Yoshi. You have so many more characters that are main characters in the Mario franchise. So if they decided to keep going with this play system, you have Mario and Luigi, which, okay, fair. If they're doing Mario, it makes sense for them to do Luigi and not do Luigi. So they did it. Okay, are they going to implement a 4-player situation down the line, which could be a possibility? I think in the traditional Mario games, Toad is always like a player 4, right? Mm-hmm. And then we now know that Toad is not an interactive figure. He is an NPC that is in these sets. But who is always player 3 in a lot of these multiplayer Mario games? That's Peach. And I think if they make Peach as only an interactive tile block, kind of like what they've done with Toad and all that, I think that would be a missed opportunity. I think that there's a lot of young girls out there that would want to play as Peach to accompany Mario and Luigi, so I would certainly hope that is a thing that Lego is considering. But if they decide to go further into the system, that's what I would want. That's what I would want to happen. But otherwise, where does that end for main characters with this sort of buildable style? Are you going to have these main characters be more interactive figures costing more money and more of everything else? Or do you make it incredibly simple and come out with a minifigure series that has, Lego Super Mario or Lego Super Smash Brothers? You have Wario, Waluigi, Peach, Daisy, Birdo, Yoshi, whoever, whatever, in a much more succinct form, instead of waiting all this time to get all these more interactive characters. I think it makes a lot more sense to have minifigures that have great display ability to them. They can make sets that are justified with it. A string theory that I have, and I have many string theories with Lego Super Mario, is if you're familiar with the brand deals that Nintendo and Lego have with other companies, Lego and Universal have been in cahoots, as we know from our good friend LLAMA with the Universal Music deal, our favorite record label as Lego fans, right? Number one.
Absolutely.
He's a great artist. But we have that, and then we also have Lego making sets based off of Minions, Trolls, which are Universal properties, Illumination making Minions. And if you remember, if you're familiar with everything going on, Illumination is making the Super Mario movie. And Universal is the one hosting Nintendo World, Super Nintendo World in Japan and across the globe. So I think there would be some room, some possibility of having Lego Super Mario movie, whatever they call it, sets. And I think that would be a perfect cutoff point or start point for minifigure-based movie sets that are different from this play system. What is that movie going to look like? Who is it going to involve? Nobody has any idea. We're talking a couple years out from this. But to me, I fully believe that Lego Super Mario and more specifically Lego Nintendo in general, that brand combination, that power has the same, if not more longevity than Lego Star Wars. And I say that as someone who's collected Lego Star Wars, as a kid. I understand how powerful of a brand Disney and Star Wars is. There's a lot more consistency with Nintendo, and there's still so much history that they can pull from, especially when you factor in the other characters. And I think if you end up coming out with a Lego Legend of Zelda, which fans would, that'd be crazy, right? I don't think it would be this play system. So why would you have Lego Legend of Zelda be minifigures, but nothing Mario minifigures? It just doesn't really work for me cohesion-wise. I want to see everything be in a similar play system that you can have them on a shelf and it can look great. There's definitely room for it. Fans absolutely want it. I believe it'll happen. I don't know when. I don't know what context, but if they, and nobody out there tell me, oh, they don't want to make custom molds for the heads. They made custom molded heads for the 2 waves of Simpsons minifigures, okay? And that's, Simpsons is, I'm sorry, pales in comparison to most of any. They've done it for Trolls. They've done it for Minions. They will absolutely drop everything to do that for Nintendo, because the thing is, before Lego and Nintendo were working together, you ask any Lego fan, pretty much across the board, what is the one property, the one company that Lego should work with, but they haven't? And the answer was Nintendo, almost unanimously. And now that we have that longevity, I think is very, very apparent. And I don't think this play system is going to outlast the longevity overall of the Nintendo partnership. I would certainly hope so. I hope they don't do these play sets and then call it, because there's so much potential across all the franchises of all time, and minifigures are just the tip of that iceberg for everything else as well.
Well, not just the collectible side of it alone. If you did a CMF line, a collectible minifigure line, and you just went through game by game, or like you said, different Marios in the different suits, you could have 12 Mario minifigs, collectible minifigs in different attire, and it would sell. And I realize, right, the same people that are going to complain about, well, the custom mold, I understand molds are, if I'm not mistaken, it's like $150,000 to make a mold. Okay. Something like that. It's something obscene. But if you take that into consideration and then think about if you did a CMF line for, I don't know, Donkey Kong, like a Donkey Kong head or something like that, you would make your money back probably tenfold
easily
over the length of that mold. So you do it in a CMF line, you do it in a set line, because like you said, this partnership, Lego has only scratched the surface. I don't even know that they've scratched the surface yet. There is so much in this realm of Mario, and then you, like you said, you bleed into Zelda, and then Donkey. There's so many different things that you can walk into, and this scale that they're currently using, I feel it's only a matter of time. And like you said, it could be years down the road, but I think it's only a matter of time before this really gets phased out, because if you are going to do something Zelda, people aren't going to want Zelda like this. No. I'd want Zelda in a minifig with a set from, or a scene from one of the iconic parts of a game or something like that. That is what will work. That is where nostalgia will come into play, because unfortunately, even though adult fans love Mario, some of this stuff that we even talked about today is just going to get pushed to the side and say, yeah, no, I'm not interested, right, because it doesn't fit that mold in what they are accustomed to or they are nostalgic with. So walking into that Zelda, Mario minifig stuff, I think it's only a matter of time. I really don't think they took on this partnership and decided, you know what, we're never going to do minifig stuff. I think that would be really dumb, considering minifigs are iconic across the world. I mean, when you see one, you're like, oh, that's Lego. People know. So yeah, I will be curious to see how, if, when that really comes about. Like you said, with the movie, I mean, we could be talking 2025 by that point in time, and, you know, finally have a movie out, and it's something to watch. I know that. And I'm sure once there becomes anything that might be an inkling of potential of a minifig in Mario, it'll blow up the internet.
Absolutely. And something to put in perspective for people that might not get it as a video gamer. Imagine if in 2020 they had just gotten Star Wars for the first time ever. How much material you would it's the same thing. It's the same exact sort of situation. You could go through every single, like we've had Star Wars for 20 years. We've gotten 16,000 X-Wings and TIE fighters and blah, blah. Like, there's so much history, and we're just getting started with just Mario, not factoring in everything else. I really, something else from the call that we haven't really talked about quite yet, but earlier, when they were first talking about this partnership, they said Nintendo and Lego wanted to do something unique that they couldn't do without the other company being involved. And I fully believe this is exactly what they wanted to do, and I think it works incredibly well for what it is. But I firmly believe that everyone looking around is like, okay, we're going to acknowledge Zelda and Donkey Kong, Metroid, Fox. Like, there's so much, so much. And I know for a fact there are Legend of Zelda fans in Denmark. Don't tell me there aren't. They're not going to turn a blind eye to this stuff forever. But as always, with Lego designers and the way things go, there is a certain time frame, and they got to keep tight-lipped, and I understand. But, man, I want to see it sooner rather than later. I really do.
Yeah, I think, you know, mentioning, like, if a movie were to come out, let's say in 2025, that's a little bit too long. I think you're going to have some fans. You're always going to have angry fans in the Lego realm.
Of course, everywhere.
But if you're going to wait, let's say 3 years down the road to introduce something like that, there's going to be some people that are already going to have stepped aside and they would probably come back to it. But I think it's going to be a little bit more of an angry ex syndrome. Like, I don't want to go back to you now because you hurt my feelings and you were a jerk to me and you didn't give me what I wanted out of this relationship. So I hope it's sooner rather than later. I would be okay if it was, you know, in 2 months from now, or during the Lego Con, they said, hey, guess what? Peach's Castle. Oh, we're getting minifigs. Right.
So, you know, that would be incredible. I think the way that you satiate those fans is having quality sets like the NES and just other things to keep adult fans invested. And, you know more than most other people how Lego has doubled or quadrupled down on adult fans of Lego with all of these sets that are hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and, like, clearly not for a little Declan and, you know, whoever to build. This is for the parents and the aunts and uncles and whatever. So there are very clearly adult Nintendo fans, and the NES hits that mark. More of that stuff. That's what we want. That's what we need.
Yeah.
I mean, as of right this second, there's a rumor about like $150 Super Mario set. We don't know what that is. I would love for it to be something that is a 18+ inspired set. Just a side tangent on this, because this is full of side tangents and this is just how it goes, I guess. But with this line here, when I think of Luigi, I don't think of Super Mario Brothers at all. I think of Luigi's Mansion. I think back to the game on the GameCube. Luigi's Mansion 3 on the Switch was a powerhouse seller. I would love to see in a similar marriage of form and function to the play system a haunted mansion that Luigi can play around through and interact with the various Boo and characters in that sense. I would love to see that as a set. I think that would be a great prelude to a much more grandiose Peach's Castle at a higher price point, but I know nothing about what would be revealed. I think they're just going to do the similar things that I saw in the presentation. They had like a sizzle reel trailer and all sorts of stuff about Mario, but nothing new, and I'm being entirely honest here. I wish there was something spicy, but no, there was nothing groundbreaking and new that they detailed there. I was at the edge of my seat. I'm like, tell me something special, please. Tell me. Nothing. Nothing.
Waiting on bated breath.
Yeah, but
so
you know what? That's what happens with fandoms and this whole thing, you know?
So let's shift gears and talk a little bit about that real quick before we wrap this thing up. So you had an opportunity to take part in a competition with the new Super Mario stuff. I want to hear details about this.
Yeah, sure. So as part of going back to last year when Super Mario launched, I got an email in May, courtesy of the Lego Group and the good folks at Beyond the Brick, Joshua and Jonathan Hanlon, that got information on a competition that was using some of the upcoming sets as a interactive play opportunity with some of the design team, where you had a course that you would build, create a story, get the most coins, and compete in a variety of challenges across other fan media. So although I'm not registered fan media myself, through Beyond the Brick, I was able to participate in that tournament. Myself and Joshua did as well. In that same group were the likes of Solid Brick Studios, David Hall, and Brick and Nick competing in that competition. Last year, Nick got an overall better score than me due to his build, where he made like a little custom course, details and everything else. I came in second.
Technicality.
It's on technicality. And I also didn't know we could incorporate other things from Lego into that. So I was trying to play fair, but Nick's like, oh, I got to upstage you. And so he got first place. Nick. I got second. Joshua got third. So, you know, it was other people that I knew and are familiar with. So I was very happy with that. So for this year, they had a similar sort of thing where they sent the Bowser airship, the Lakitu Sky set, the bee suit, and a character pack. We created a custom course just like last time. You had to get a high score, getting the most coins, tell a story, and have as many two-player interactive things as possible. They really wanted to have two people be involved in the competition, so to really demonstrate that two-player, because nobody else in my household I think would enjoy it. I'm like, let me do this myself here. And it turns out by me getting the high score and having a very creative story about Captain Fuzzy Pants, the little black fuzzy character in the Lakitu Sky Attack. He had a pirate hat and all that. I ended up getting the highest score of the bunch. I ended up having the best story between everyone else, and I did end up claiming first place in the Lego Luigi Championship, demonstrating the most score, highest everything else. April actually ended up getting second overall, so that was pretty nice. And best of all, Brick and Nick, the winner of last time, he didn't place at all. So I firmly kicked his tuchus all the way from Boston to Canada. So I'm very happy with that.
Wasn't even on the podium.
Nope.
Man, that's got to be brutal. What a fall from grace.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it was something we've teased each other about for many, many months. And now I get to, dig right back at him. It wasn't something that the whole experience, we got to ask the designers a few questions and got a little bit of insight on there, but it's good to be in touch with the designers in that sense. But it really forced us to get a hands-on on what the play system is like and have a further appreciation for it. So I've been honored that, they've offered it to Beyond the Brick. Joshua was kind enough to offer it to me because I'm the Mario guy of the guys that are correspondents and between Josh and John. So I've been very grateful for that the whole way through. And I'm just happy I got to kick Nick's butt, man. I'm so thankful, so proud.
Well, you mentioned a little bit about the play stuff, and yeah, beating Nick is a pretty big deal because it's been a year. I'm sure you've had to hear that gloating, but with this competition, and you guys having to create your own kind of course with a story behind it and things, and knowing how it plays. And yes, people already know how the system plays that have already done this before, but it's one of those things that you and Nick and April and the plethora of others that have done this, between last year and this year, it allows, when you come on here and you talk about it and it goes out to the audiences that's listening and is curious about this, it gives them a sense of an idea of what they're walking into, what may have been different for this season, for this wave. I mean, and if they have any questions like, well, how did you get this many coins, or what did you do? How did you set this like this? Well, that's information that can be exchanged from that person through myself to you and responded back. So it's a good way to bond with the community and be able to disseminate that information, but at the same time, just constantly keep people updated as, hey, this is what's going on with this. This is how you do this. You can take your course and you can do this with it. I know Nick has done videos and streams on it and stuff, but there's not enough of it in different types of media format. So it's nice for you to be able to show people, or at least explain to people, hey, this is what you can do with it. This is how it can be done. And then you take into account the new stuff that has for dual players. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah. And I think with me being such a massive fan of Mario and Lego in general, I try to put as much positivity into the play system. And I know that people would prefer to have minifigures. I'm right there with you. I understand. And in spite of what other people may want or what I want, I am appreciating what we have for what it is. There's many years of development that goes into this stuff, and a lot of effort from across the board from these the design teams. So instead of complaining the whole way through about not getting what I want, I am trying to be grateful as much as I can for what has come out, and hope that my, me spouting off online obviously doesn't interfere with the plans of a multi-billion-dollar corporation, but just so the design team knows that, yes, there are fans that want to have these specific things, and if they are, they would be successful products. And I think that overall level of positivity and happiness that can come from someone like me, who, in the grand scheme of life, trust me, I know this is not the end-all be-all. I'm not like obsessed. I'm not like, I'm like fawning over it like I want it, but I understand that there's more to this than just, Mario and all that. I understand that, but just trying to lean more into it and appreciate it for what it is, in the face of when you hear, people in the community that are like, oh, they didn't do this Lego idea set the way that they should have. This Star Wars set doesn't have this minifigure printing. Where is this? Where is that? And I'm like, all right, very clearly people are going to complain we don't have minifigures. I get it. Let's just appreciate how cool Mario and Luigi are from a tech perspective, and let's hope that people in Denmark hear it. And I know for a fact they do, because they listen and watch to a lot of this stuff. All right, they're not dumb. They're the big red brick in the sky is always watching, hovering over. All right, so they know, they're aware. It's just important that we focus on the good things that come with these products. And the thing about it is, if you don't like it, you can just build something yourself and do it that way. So I'm just happy that they started the partnership in general, and hopefully they get to where I want them to be at one point or another, Zelda, minifigures, Peach's Castle, or otherwise.
Well, you mentioned about the minifigs, right? We know that's going to be a complaint. We know that's what people want. But if you recall, the 18 plus stuff didn't just come out of nowhere. It was brought on by the adult community. And folks, where you can put your input in is when those surveys come out in your email from the Lego group. And they say, tell us about what, this, that, the other. What would you like to see? Because I'm pretty sure it comes out through the VIP format is how the email comes. That is your chance to say, I want minifigs style sets in Mario. Now, there's a way to say it other than sounding like a little 8-year-old that
Yes.
a little snotty.
Yep.
But that is your voice right there. Yes, they listen to my show from time to time, and they watch streams, and they watch YouTube videos, and they do. But guess what? 100,000 of you responding to that email on a survey and saying, we want to see this. Guess what? They're going to say, well, there's a lot of people that want to see this. Maybe we undertake this. That's where the 18 plus stuff came from. That's why it continues to roll out. So that is, folks, that's your opportunity. So yeah.
Absolutely. I am very happy that I got a chance to speak with you about all these Mario sets. And I don't just do Mario. I have other sets as well that I am receiving through Beyond the Brick for review, including some stuff from a galaxy far, far away and otherwise. So plenty of other things that I am well versed in. But yeah, my specialty, I would say, is Mario, and I'm very, very thankful you've had me on to spout off on another platform about what this is all about, and hopefully give some perspective to people who otherwise might not be on board for the play system or anything else.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Great information, and we'll definitely see you back in the future, because the galaxy far, far away is not common in this studio. So a more common presence with a little more insight is always a good thing to have. So
absolutely.
Well, thanks, Brian, so much, and we'll talk to you in the future.
Thank you.
Well, that'll do it for this episode, and I really appreciate Brian coming on and really sharing a lot of insight into the Lego Super Mario stuff. I mean, there's so much more into it, and it was a great conversation that we had. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're trying to find him, you can check him out. He streams multiple times a week on the platform of Twitch. You can go to twitch.tv/BricksO'Brien and check him out there. Sometimes he does Lego stuff, sometimes not, but he's a good character to interact with and have a chat with. So that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it.